Elden Ring Nightreign is an interesting FromSoft release. Now, it's no secret, I'm not a fan of the Souls series. However, I was charmed and blown away by Elden Ring. While I didn't fully understand the story or the lore when I played, I enjoyed the world I was in. Building my strength character, feeding women eyeballs, butt slamming, the devious doo-doo devourer. I sat upon the throne with a smile on my face and a new appreciation for a genre I previously never gave a chance to. I ended up trying Lies of P, Another Crab's Treasure, Bleak Faith, Black Myth Wukong, Dark Souls 3, Lords of the Fallen, Cuckold Simulator, Last Hero of Nostalgaia. My initial statement when someone would ask me to play a Souls game was usually a pretty disgusting no. I fully admitted that the gameplay was phenomenal. I never doubted that for a second. The idea that you were a sum of your efforts, giving you a way to avoid damage, which meant you simply had to get good in order to succeed. No amount of numbers, equipment, or weaponry was going to give you an edge in combat, or at least not a significant enough one to win on equipment stats alone. Your skill as a player was your true stat. Your level didn't go up, you yourself leveled up. It's a wonderful way to exemplify gameplay gratification over mindless grinding, even though you can still do that. But when I had a legitimate critique, such as, I'm not understanding the story, and being told that weapon descriptions are the best way to learn the lore, some bosses being incredibly difficult, not because they were hard in terms of readability, but that there wasn't any. I was met with a robust amount of pushback and aggression from all forms and walks of life. These games are fun, but absolutely zero games are immune to criticism. Dark Souls and Elden Ring are no different. However, I put aside my critique to play Elden Ring. I beat it, I loved it, and I craved more. So much so, I was willing to try anything with the Souls-like tag. FromSoft then released the deeply craved Shadow of the Erdtree, giving us more of the Lands Between, more questions, and more answers to unanswered questions in this grace-forsaken land, but also more problems and headaches than before. Now, this was my personal experience. As someone who didn't play any Dark Souls DLCs before Shadow of the Erdtree, I didn't know what New Game Plus was. I just assumed I started the game again with my previous equipment. I was really unaware of the difficulty spiking in New Game Plus, making the enemies harder, and making the game generally just less fun. I complained, bitched, moaned. I almost cried about how hard it was, but not because the game was difficult, but because it didn't seem fair. The enemies' attack cycles were too much and repeated frequently with hardly any openings. Then, because I was on New Game Plus, the enemies were much harder than they were supposed to be. I had endgame armor, a ton of vigor, and a maxed out sword. I could barely put a dent in a guy that was completely naked. I wasn't having a good time initially. Then the game explains skibbity fragments. These fragments unlock a percentage of your base health, damage, and damage negation for every fragment you pick up. Okay, I get that. Now I understand. I need more fragments to deal more damage and take more hits. Understood. This means I need to explore the Lands of the Shadow and pick up as many Mikola feet picks as I can. Alright, let's give it a go. And it's abysmal dog shit. The fragments themselves aren't a bad idea. It's the fact there's a limited amount of them, meaning if I don't get every single one, I am never going to get to my full potential. There's 50 of them hidden all over the place. Granted, you can beat the game with half of them, but it's still a significant damage reduction. I went through the entire DLC and even stopped at the final boss just to go get more, and I still missed a majority of them. Now, if your response to me missing fragments is, use a guide, then you've proven that the shadow fragments are a bad mechanic. Someone's first experience with a game should never be bogged down with cheats and mods and guides to beat it. Your experience should be assistance-free to maximize the truest potential that devs had planned for you, and using a guide defeats this purpose. Even so, guide or no, shadow fragments are a fundamentally flawed mechanic. Look, in Elden Ring, let's say my character is a strength-based one, or anyone, it doesn't matter. I walk up to a boss, let's say it's the Tree Sentinel. I work really hard, learn his patterns, he kills me a few times, but eventually I beat him. I earned a weapon, or a shield, or something. Well, I don't really want this. This doesn't work with my build. This doesn't look good. It could be any reason at all that I don't like the equipment I've been given. And that's fine. That's a-okay. Because there's another reward, runes. You can now go and level up, and the benefits from leveling up can be greater or equal to the value value of a weapon. It's a sweetener if the weapon, shield, ashes, armor, anything is something that you can actually use. And even better, something you enjoy. However, this isn't the case in Shadow of the Erdtree. When you defeat a boss, mandatory or optional one, the reward might be a weapon or a piece of armor, a spell, a charm, anything. Well, what if you don't like it? What if the stats aren't good? What if your reward doesn't work with your build? As a strength character, if I receive any magic items, I can't use them. This isn't to say whatever the reward was bad. It's a truth. If your reward doesn't work with your build, you can't use it, or you're not gonna use it. But that should be okay, because I earned runes as well, right? Yes. You'll earn a large amount of runes for winning battles against bosses in the Land of the Shadow, but they don't matter. Runes in Shadow of the Erdtree don't matter, because leveling up doesn't change anything by a noticeable margin. Because of the way the Shadow Tree fragments work, even if you level up, your priority should still be the fragments. But that's okay, because exploring and killing bosses gives fragments, right? Sorta. Yes, exploring can reward fragments, but there's a large portion of the map that just don't offer anything at all. There are even bosses that don't drop fragments. And yes, I understand that not every experience with the map or boss is going to reward me in a way that I notice, but I should always be making progress when I do something in an RPG. But devaluing the runes and their usefulness means that if I'm not getting a fragment, I am not making any progress towards getting better at all. And some of these bosses are extremely tough, and without enough fragments, they can seem like damage sponges. So not only am I guaranteed to receive an item drop, but no guarantee that I'll enjoy it, I might not even get the necessary item required to hit harder, deal more damage, or even take more hits. I will give the mechanic a pass in one area, however. In order to prevent people from just being level 99 and steamrolling the DLC with zero effort, they put this mechanic in place. But it was a bad implementation in my experience. What they should have done is make getting 50 fragments give your full strength, but there's more than 50 on the map. Every boss drops one to incentivize defeating every boss. Every colorful area has a handful, but you know, just make it make sense. Don't put 1,000,000, but like 75 or 100 would have been fine, even 60. Meaning if you explored at least half of the map, you would earn enough fragments to gain full power, but they didn't. So it's the way it is. I beat the game with 20 fragments. I defeated the final boss with less than half of the fragments on New Game Plus with a less than enjoyable experience before even the first set of nerfs came in. And now you know why there was never a video on it, despite how much I enjoy Elden Ring. But if you'd like to see my experience with the DLC and all, and the complaining and such, leave a comment if you'd like to see that. Time flies, I forget about Elden Ring, try a few randomizers, just not for me. Seamless co-op makes it a brand new game and worth playing again. Tried Lords of the Fallen, loved it, and then I was informed by people that follow FromSoft more than me that there would be no Elden Ring 2 or any more Elden Ring content. This made me a little sad because I had grown fond of these characters, and there were still many questions that I had no answers to. Like, why does this lady not open her eye? I'm sure this is explained somewhere, I just can't be bothered to look for it. I don't remember. Something. What the fuck is this? A new Elden Ring? Oh, it's a battle royale? A shrinking circle with loot at primary locations with randomized placement? What? Oh, it's a roguelike with pre-made characters? Oh, with bosses from the earlier entries. That's cool. Oh, this game isn't canon. Okay. Initially, when I saw Nightreign, everything that was described to me sounded like shit. It sounded terrible. There's no way this could be something good, right? I mean, one of the biggest draws to FromSoft games is their story, or at the very least, their lore. But I was told this game wasn't canon, so the story doesn't matter? Sure, you can tell a story in the setting of Elden Ring and make it an interesting one. A good example is Star Wars Legends. Making a world filled to the brim with interesting phenomena and then telling a story within it is how the best stories are told. But if this one isn't canon, it grants less gratification to the story and less meaning to their strife. You are a bird that is cursed to never fly. That's why your wing is fucked up. Not from an injury, but from birth. That's cool. I like his struggles as a character. Too bad he's not real. You're a dead girl looking for your memories and why your soul was placed in a doll. Why do you use ghosts of your dead family members to fight? I want to learn the answers to these problems and relate more to the character. Well, it's too bad she's not fucking real, so her struggles don't fucking matter. I know I sound like a prude, and this doesn't mean that the stories can't be cool and interesting to read about and listen to in the ye old lore book, but it makes a better impression knowing that my struggles have meaning and my actions have consequences. But what if I'm wrong? What if we see the Guardian again in Elden Ring 2? Wouldn't that be cool? What if there's a fix for his wing? What if there's a way to help his people? What if we can see him in the skies again? Well, we'll never know, because none of this is canon. I know for a fact everyone loved the end boss of Dark Souls 3, knowing that the Soul of Cinder is a culmination of the actions and struggles of the chosen undead. Imagine the disappointment knowing that Dark Souls 1 didn't have any bearing whatsoever on anything, that it was a waste of time, that it was non-canon. Now, I'm no Dark Souls expert, and I'm not claiming to be, but it's clear to me that the canon ending to Dark Souls 1 is linking the flame, which leads down a long path of consistent linking to get to where we are. But if Dark Souls 1 wasn't canon, none of this would bear any weight at all. Or maybe I'm just talking out my ass, because when I tried to do my own research, I couldn't get a straight answer. But the fact that there's Dark Souls bosses on a landmass called Limveld, with the same structures as Limgrave and Lendale and Liurnia, something is telling me this might not be entirely canon. But moving on from the specificities, Nightreign distances itself from the traditional Souls-like genre by starting something new. I'm told that Nightreign was not made by the main team that makes the main series that we all enjoy. Nightreign is developed by FromSoft's B team, and as such, this means they had less to work with and less financial backing than the main man Miyazaki. So we're given a title that is trying to make something new with a formula that we are all familiar with, using assets from every Souls entry in an attempt to train the secondary team to be better and help understand Miyazaki's vision. I'm not against this. This sounds cool. As someone that never played Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, or Dark Souls 2, it will be interesting to see what I may have missed out on. Loading up Nightreign, the game gives you a pretty basic tutorial, something that doesn't really exactly matter, but it does, you know, explain the general consensus I'm going to explain here. But let's say you're going to start a really quick normal run. You can start off at ritual rites to choose 3 basic boons to help you. Some are simple, such as more HP, more stamina, more starting damage, and others are more complicated, such as starting off with a stone sword key, having more than 3 great spears gives a damage buff, and extra damage when you're not attacking. Once you pick your boons, start up a boss, and matchmake for 2 other allies. You heard that right. Nightreign is FromSoft's first direct co-op Souls-like. I'm glad Miyazaki finally realized that the Phantom system is dumb. Fuck you. I don't care. This shit is stupid. I should not need a mod to play the whole game with my friend. That's just horse shit. Lords of the Fallen did it flawlessly. The Phantom system makes sense in Dark Souls. It has no place or bearing whatsoever in an open world Elden Ring. Once you have your allies selected, you have some characters to choose from. The characters to choose from are Wilder, Guardian, Iron Eye, Duchess, Raider, Revenant, Recluse, and Executor. Duchess and Revenant are actually locked and must be unlocked through your gameplay. Personally speaking, I don't really like pre-made characters. I like Elden Ring because I got to make my own Tarnished. But in all fairness, I wore a helmet the whole fucking game. But I digress. Every class has a passive, a skill art, and an ultimate art that grants invulnerability. These cost no FP and are granted to you from the start. They also have unique stats that they are proficient with and specific weapons that they are specialized in. Starting with Wilder, Wilder is a generalist fighter that has a decently high stat spread across the board with a unique skill set towards greatswords. He's not necessarily good at one thing. He's a jack of all trades, allowing him to use whatever he finds. His passive is called Sixth Sense. He can deny death once every, I don't know, it just happens or it doesn't, you know? I think it's once every time you get picked up. I can't really confirm that. His skill art is Claw Shot, a grappling hook that lets him grab enemies. Enemies that are his size and smaller pull them to him, and enemies that are larger than him pull him to them. You can also grab the environment and use it as a quick escape. Wilder's ultimate is Onslaught Stake. Wilder charges his crossbow with an explosive iron harpoon that does massive stagger and damage in an AoE, clearing rooms and stunning bosses. Wilder is great, a wonderful starter class for anyone. Get used to his grappling hook as much as possible, since it costs no stamina to use and you can get out of a lot of really bad situations. Thanks to his stat spread, the weapons he can use are pretty much limitless. Magic isn't his forte, but never count it out. Personally, I would go for a shield and a one-handed quick melee weapon, something like a straight sword or a mace. Not just because I love those types of playstyles, but because they attack so fast it charges his skills quicker. Plus, since he's so good at being a little bit of everything, he can change playstyles on the go, such such as having a parry buckler and then swapping to a dagger. He's not exactly frail, but he's not tanky. To offset his lack of tank, give him a medium or heavy shield. Guardian is a pinion folk, a large bird with a gimped wing with the inability to fly. He's the tank class of the game, starting with a halberd and a great shield. Focusing almost entirely on defense, it's a good idea to try and find weapons that grant ailments, such as poison and scarlet rot. His passive is Steel Guard. If you guard and dodge at the same time, it activates a reinforced guard, granting you a significant boost to your guard ability. I think it's like a 200% boost to your guard up. I can't confirm. His skill is Whirlwind, knocking up all small and moderately sized enemies and damaging them, though having little to no effect on large beasts. Guardian's ultimate is Wings of Salvation. Guardian rises in the air and strikes the ground to deal low to moderate damage and reviving any allies that are down. It can also be held to grant invulnerability for a short time to any allies in the AoE, making them immune to all forms of damage. Guardian as of launch, in my opinion, is my favorite class because I like to play tanks. But after playing him the most, his skill ceiling is quite high and his damage output could be better. You should always have a shield on him. And due to his high endurance and loadout, his dodge is sacrificed. He has a sidestep, which is not bad, but compared to the other characters, this is the worst dodge in the game. It's not useless, but he's clearly designed to be a block tank, which from the ground up is bad because Souls-likes are not balanced around blocking. While blocking physical attacks might be easy and rewarding, the minute something uses magic, the chip damage will show itself quickly. Iron Eye is a ranger from a tribe of assassins looking for the man who betrayed him and his order. Iron Eye is different than most Souls characters in one thing. His special moveset is focused around bows, with a moveset that I've never seen before. He's fast, dangerous, stacks damage and ailments really easy, and his DPS is extremely reliable because he usually can't miss. After playing Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring, I've never seen a bow act like this before. But what helps is that he also has infinite ammo. Iron Eye's passive is also different than everyone else's. It's not a combat-centered ability. Eagle Eye gives Iron Eye a higher drop rate from enemies, increasing the chance of finding items. This is great for helping allies and yourself find better equipment. You can also find things to increase higher drop chance, to make it even stronger than before. Iron Eye's skill is called Marking, dashing forward and hitting anything in a long line, leaving a wound on them. If enough damage is done to a marked enemy, it will activate and deal percent-based damage, almost like a bleed. But this works on all enemies in the game. Marking also grants Iron Eye iframes the entire dash, so it's great for escapes and attack dodging. His ultimate is called Single Shot. He whips out a massive bow and does true damage to anything in a straight line. It ignores all defense and does immense stagger damage. Iron Eye is a dexterity-based character that doesn't even need a melee weapon. I'm being serious when I say if you're playing Iron Eye and you're getting in melee range, you are not playing him right. I'm not saying stay all the way on the other side of the arena, but you should never be closer than a Guardian. His damage and abilities can be played without ever getting close to a single enemy. Duchess is an unlockable character, and I don't remember her lore because I didn't play her very much. Duchess's passive is she can dodge an attack at a reduced stamina cost, and she dodges like crazy. It's like a light roll on a third of the cooldown. She's fast as hell. Her skill is called Restage. She clicks her pocket watch, and the enemy she's focusing on will re-experience all damage taken from the last few seconds a second time. This is great for landing crits or restacking ailments such as bleed or frostbite. Duchess's ultimate art is Finale. All allies next to her and herself go invisible, losing all aggro from all enemies. Now, its combat ability is minimal, but it helps set up backstabs on smaller enemies and can guarantee safety during revives on allies since enemies won't directly target you. Duchess is a dexterity-based character that can attack quickly and move even quicker. Try to find ailment daggers such as Frost and Bleed to really bring home that attack speed. Dodge all the time, since she has a lot of dodges that cover a lot of distance, and it costs little to no stamina, so you should be moving as much as possible. And since her intelligence and mind are moderately high, there's nothing wrong with some incantations or sorceries too. Raider is a strength-based barbarian that has a lot of health and damage. Raider is a pirate looking for his rival, someone to match him in combat. A conqueror, you could even say. Raider's passive, he doesn't really have have a passive. It's more like directly linked to his skill. Taking damage makes his skill deal more damage. Raider's skill is called Retaliate. He stomps the ground, then releases a headbutt, dealing moderate damage, an immense stagger, and becoming completely immune to death and knockback. Your health cannot go below 0 while activating Retaliate, and taking damage during the attack will grant a damage bonus. If his passive is charged, Fighter's Resolve, Raider will glow with an aura. Retaliate will evolve into a longer channel, more damage, more stagger, and a stronger area of effect. Raider's ultimate is called Totem Stella. It's important to remember the name of this one because there are boons you can use in relic rites that only state the name of the totem. Raider channels the totem for quite some time and is invincible the entire time. Once finished, he rises up in the air on a giant totem, giving a damage bonus to you and all allies. The ultimate has high stagger and can also bring allies with you. Use it whenever you like, since the cooldown's actually pretty generous. Raider, unfortunately, is my least favorite character in the game. I know, I love big health bar, high damage strength chads, but Raider is a poise tank over a health one. The Guardian beats his survivability because of the shield. The Raider's preferred weapons are colossal weapons, so he gets a unique moveset with them. Unfortunately, it's so fucking slow, it's not reliable. It is actually criminal how goddamn slow this fucking character is. I want to be big bonk man, but with how slow he swings it, it feels like you're running through molasses. I'm not kidding. I feel as if you get the same weapon on Wilder and Raider, the Wilder will actually hit something. I play Raider with a shield usually, which removes his uniqueness. I'd rather just play Guardian. And again, I understand that he's a poise tank, but unless you get lucky with your item drops, Raider is not only not tanky, he's so slow that he doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Now, if you manage to actually hit something, you do actually do a lot of damage. Revenant is a summon-based class. She's a doll that's looking for her memories. Revenant is by all definitions of the phrase a glass cannon. She's a summoner mage. She skills with all magic, so her physical stats are some of the lower ones. Be extremely careful with Revenant, as she's too frail to take too many hits. This is why she's a summoner. She doesn't have to take any aggro. She can simply summon other things to do it for her. Revenant's passive is Necromancy. There's a chance to convert defeated non-boss enemies into allies for 1 minute. Keep in mind, this only works if she gets the final hit, so perhaps communicate with allies to let her get the last hit. Editor's note, people are saying this isn't true, something just has to die next to her. I don't know. I have no clue. I don't play her enough. I beat the game with her once, but I don't play her enough. Revenant's skill is Summon Spirit. She puts up a lyre and can summon 1 of 3 ghosts to have out on a field at any given time. These ghosts are considered her family members, so they all have names. Helen is a page, Frederick is a pumpkinhead, Sebastian is a gigantic skeleton that Tibia Mariners usually summon. Revenant's family members are actually quite interesting. If you're down, they will stop aggroing enemies in order to focus on reviving you. Sebastian is one of the best at this. Revenant's ultimate is Immortal March. After a short channel, this ultimate revives all allies in the radius, grants immortality to allies, not allowing them to die, but still take damage, and if any of her ghost family are out on the field, will make them use their special attacks. I don't play too much Revenant, but I do know for a fact her story is very sad and very graphic. If you're gonna play her, remember to play defensive and let the family do their job. Revenant is also proof that FromSoft wants to make Bloodborne 2, they just can't. Recluse is a holy shit! Look at those FP tanks! Good gravy! And she's got the dogs out too? My main man, Miyazaki, you've done it again! And I'm racist! Recluse is the mage of the game. Her ability to deal immense damage from medium range distances is unmatched. We're all familiar with the strength and weaknesses of a mage, so I won't go into severe detail on that. I will say, however, that she has one of the best dodges in the game. It has long iframes and goes extremely far. You can even get a boon to make this even better. Recluse's passive is called Elemental Defense. She can take the last placed elemental effect on an enemy or an ally and charge her skill and restore FP with it. Every time she takes an elemental effect, it is stored in 1 of 3 charges of Magic Cocktail. Recluse's skill, Magic Cocktail, will take 3 charges of any element and disperse them as a spell. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and explain 14 fucking spells to you, but imagine that every single spell can be all 3 of one element type, 2 and then a different one, or 3 completely different element types. One example is Holy Damage, Fire Damage, and Magic Damage. This grants a spew of magical flame that heals allies, does constant damage, and grants infinite FP to the Recluse. It's one of the best spells for her. Some of her best spells are combinations combinations of 3 different elements. This can be done by communicating with your team to use elemental weapons, or use spells of different types yourself. Recluse's ultimate is Soul Blood Song. Recluse channels for a small moment and places a curse on all enemies in the area. Anytime the enemy is hurt by an ally with this curse on them, the damage done will replenish FP and health to allies and yourself. The curse's activation itself really only staggers and helps allies. Recluse is obviously frail, so be sure to protect those piggies of hers and stay fleet-footed. Under no circumstance is it a good idea to get close to enemies as her. I think someone mentioned to me that there's a Reddit thread explaining all of her spell combos, so maybe keep an eye out for that and keep an eye out for certain element types. But as it being a roguelike, you're not guaranteed to get the element you might want. Executor is the last class available at launch. Executor is a cursed swordsman with a mysterious past. His passive tenacity gives him a major stat increase when he recovers from an ailment. This isn't game-changing, but it's nice to have. You can activate Seppuku or activate a Madness proc, and you'll gain a damage bonus. Executor's skill is Suncatcher. He draws a unique sword no one can get and can deflect attacks, similar to the game Sekiro. Keep in mind, this is not classified as a parry. It is classified as deflection. So it is not a guard and it is not a parry. It is its own unique action. So any benefits you obtain that relate to the exact word parry will not work on this ability. After deflecting multiple times, the sword charges itself and can deal an incredible amount of holy damage and poise damage. Keep in mind, while the sword is drawn, you can't sprint and your dodge distance is reduced, so it's do or die with him. A cool side note of the deflect is it can deflect anything. Anything. I haven't seen a single attack from any enemy yet that you can't deflect. I've seen my friend deflect Ice Breath, Scarlet Rot, and Fire with the sword. You can also deflect when you pull out and put away the sword, so it's useful in a pinch as well. Executor's ultimate is Beast Mode. The Executor becomes a monster, fully healing him, extending his HP, and deals immense stagger damage. Every time you attack or take damage, the ultimate's timer is drained. This is a great skill to revive allies, as you can tank a lot of attacks, but not all of the time, as the beast has its own poise meter, and it's lower than your normal character. Executor has an S in Arcane and Dexterity. Consider getting status ailment katanas, such as Bleed, Poison, or Frost, since these will proc faster than anybody else. Pay attention to the weaknesses of the Night Lord you're fighting, and make sure they can be afflicted with ailments. Some are completely immune. Each character available also has these things called remembrances. After finishing 2 or so runs, a new memory will be unlocked for your character. Sometimes it does it for others. Go to the lore book and read up on them. Learn about these characters and play them enough, you'll see an unlock remembrance prompt. Complete these for as many people as you can, since they unlock specific boons for your character. An example is the Guardian is given the Stone Stake. This extends his Whirlwind ability, letting it be a damage over time stun instead of a burst stagger. Everyone has at least 2 of these. Alright, so enough of the characters. We're on to the actual game. How does it play? Pick a boss and check their description. The game will tell you exactly what element they're the weakest to. The Red Wolf fucking hates holy, and when enough holy damage is done, it will place a debuff and stagger on the boss. More holy, more staggers, more damage. Moving on. You, your wife, and your wife's boyfriend all load up on the Battle Bird and set sail for royalty-free Limgrave. Kind of embarrassing for the Guardian, since he should be able to fly. I really hope that's no one's fault. Dropping into Tomato Town, you're given an extremely short brief before you gotta thank the bird driver and get the #1 Elden Royale. A good idea is to pull up your map at the very beginning and look around where you'll start. Every single location has importance. Nothing is something you should ignore deliberately. While this little pinky portrait is you and your allies, like the 1950s, your color matters, so you're allowed to place markers on the map. Your marker color corresponds to the person who placed them. Outside of that, the markers are Hawktria, Booster Pad, Night Fort, Sunday Mass, Fat Camp, X-Defiant, Rock Tua, Hotel Castlevania, The Evergale, Sunday Mass, but the pastor is cool, and Hogwarts. Each and every location has value, and almost always has a boss, except for a select few. Once the location has been completed, a grace will show up at the location on the marker, showing you don't need to go back there. Once a boss is defeated, or you've done the secondary objective, it's mostly always a boss. A Night Soul is dropped. And depending on the color, you can pick one of a few benefits. These can be weapons of random quality, with random stats, with a random Ash of War and a random passive. Now, even if you don't like the weapon itself, keep it on your person. The passives of the weapon apply to you just for having it. So when it says improved guard counter, but on a dagger, as long as the dagger is in one of these 6 slots, your guard counter will be stronger. You don't even need it in your offhand to use it. But, if there's a hand symbol on the passive, that means you have to have it in one of your hands. So if you have a sword that grants health on hit, you need the sword in at least your offhand and wield something else, or wield the weapon itself in order to receive the benefits. Keep in mind, all your Elden Ring knowledge isn't going to be of the greatest help here to its fullest extent, because unless it's a legendary or rare weapon, its Ash of War can be almost any Ash of War in the game, such as giving a halberd seppuku, when normally you can't get that. I think I played Elden Ring 2 years ago, but in regards to your Elden Ring knowledge, head over to the training ground tent and look at the armaments. You can see what weapons scale with what stat. Obviously, colossal weapons scale with strength and daggers with dex, but if you pick up a holy variant of these weapons, you might be doing less damage depending on the faith stat of the character you chose. Defeating enemies gives runes as usual, but you don't place them into any specific stat. You simply just hit the level up button once you reach a grace. Depending on which OC you pick, they have predetermined stats that are focused or less focused depending on their priority. For example, the Guardian has an S in health and the Wilder has an A. So with more and more levels, the Guardian will have more health than the Wilder. Runes are extremely important, and a balancing act is in effect with each and every kill or, specific location you visit. Everjails give guaranteed bosses and a huge rune boost at the cost of a rare stone sword key to open them up. Small little dumbasses give not so much runes, but if you get a boon of more dropped runes from enemies, small enemies can be as useful as big ones. If you lose all your HP and go down, a small little 3-segmented circle shows up. Allies need to attack your body and just really get in there. Yeah, and kick the shit out of him. Yeah. Once the bar is done, you're revived with half of your max health. You can be revived infinitely, but the more downs you have without reaching a grace increases the amount of hits needed to be revived. Some characters have abilities to revive people easier, since if whatever downed your friend is still around and you can't kill it, you might have trouble reviving your ally. If the revive timer runs out, you will die, and that's it. You're trash. No one has ever died in a Souls-like before except you. Are you proud of yourself? Nah, I'm just kidding. You spawn close, but you lose a level, your current runes, and in your rune recovery are the runes that give you back the level you lost. So if you die again, you not only lose that level for real, but you also lose whatever you accumulated up to that point. So don't die, ever. And if someone goes down, fucking help them, at least to the best of your ability, within reason. Don't go down or waste time trying to revive someone. With that out of the way, run around with your family of misfits, completing locations, and once a certain amount of time has gone by, the storm will approach. Standing outside the ring will burn you and your allies until death. The longer you're in it, the stronger the burn. Once enough time passes, the ring will shrink to a small circle, and you can fight that day's end boss. You can actually tell what end boss you're going to fight based on the ads that are brought before you. It can be anything small or difficult, from a Tibia Mariner to the fucking nameless king. Get the fuck out of here! Go back to dipshit 3! Once the boss is successfully defeated, the day starts all over again, and you're allowed to complete locations again. Seek the same goals as you did on the first day, and you end it again with a boss fight. Then on the third day, you can enter the Flubber Hive Mind and show up at a small pit stop. You can level up, upgrade, and purchase small benefits. Then when everyone's ready, you approach the Door to Darkness, and the boss fight begins. Night Lords are hard. You're gonna fail, but you're gonna get better with each attempt. Succeed or fail at defeating the boss, and you return to the Round Table Hold with a reward of some ritual right boons. And then, you start all over. Nightreign is actually quite fun. I've beaten all bosses multiple times with almost every character. Not super interested in necrophilic jailbait, but after I beat the game with her once, despite how great she is, I'm not much of a summoner. Oh wait, she's a doll. think I got a jar around here or something.
The pressure of the ring and the rising difficulty as you learn more and more about your characters through their remembrances and eventually master fighting all the enemies one at a time, it's a great time killer with little to no risk but tons of reward. Sure, you may fail, but you only need to win once to move forward. I like the interesting boss variety. I've been told there's bosses from every FromSoft Souls-like, even Demon Souls. I haven't ever played anything before 3, but I can see folks getting excited over seeing a boss that hasn't seen any representation since their initial game's release. The randomized loot keeps me on my toes. If the boss requires poison to be defeated, I need to seek out poison weapons. It creates a pseudo side goal that I need to keep constant tabs on. Game is still plenty hard even with a great run. Sometimes the game pulls a fast one on you and you fall for it. And FromSoft finally fucking realized that the Phantom system was retarded. Like I said before, I agree. In a game like Dark Souls, where majoritively speaking, you're supposed to spend most of your time alone, and having a temporary ally grants a bit of a mental reprieve. But in an open world game like Elden Ring, you let me summon a friend only for them to help on one boss and then leave? Come on. That wasn't smart, and you knew that wasn't. But with Nightreign's new seamless co-op, it's a great time with friends. I genuinely enjoy Nightreign, and I was pleasantly surprised. I hope that in the future, FromSoft's B team will keep updating the game with more and more characters to keep the gameplay fresh. And if this is their first debut of an untrained team, hopefully, future titles will be even better. But even as I enjoy it heavily, there are issues with its execution in the most unfortunate ways that I don't think the devs accounted for. With all due respect, to be as critical as possible, this game is, technically speaking, it's $120. Playing this solo is doable, it's just not a super enjoyable experience. It feels lackluster, kind of empty, devoiding any reason to bring a third of the characters because they're entirely teamwork based. You need 2 other allies to play this game and enjoy it to the fullest. And then, you need them to not be completely fucking brainless. Your ability to enjoy this game is entirely dependent on if these 2 knuckleheads can change the batteries in their smoke detector. If they don't listen, work together, or if they've never played a Souls-like before this, then this run is shot. And it's not worth getting to day 3 because we cannot deal enough damage to succeed. And if you leave, they said they're gonna start penalizing you. But FromSoft didn't give us enough ways to communicate what we want. I don't want a voice chat because the last thing I want to hear is the ceiling bird and chihuahuas. But what happened to a normal communication wheel? Come here, follow me, enemy here, boss here, weapon here, grace here. I feel they could have done a better job. On the complete opposite spectrum, what if my randoms are absolutely killer? They follow the rules, they back me up, they aren't stupid, and we won with flying colors and 0 downs. Well, once you win, there's no way to add them and play again. Bye-bye, big boob lady. I'll miss you. Some bosses are almost mandatory to beat with their ailment in early learning stages of newer players. They aren't required, but they're so helpful that you should seek them out constantly. However, no fucking camps have what I want! At the very least, could you give the merchants a recommended ailment on a proficient weapon of the class I'm playing for a steep price? That way I can choose a valuable level up or a weapon that the boss hates. I don't care, but there should be no reason why I can't find, there are runs where I will go without this ailment because I straight up just cannot find something. Raider is too slow and needs a major buff because I would honestly say that this is probably the only character that is entirely dependent on the passives of the weapons you find. Damage negation increased while damage taken, poise increase on damage taken. These things are mandatory on him, and if he doesn't have enough, he just does not feel good to play. Ritual rites aren't impactful enough. They're too random and inefficient. You can get different colored goblets that can be different types of boons, but you can't control what you get. All boons are completely fucking random. Some of them are worthless, while others are just right. The sorting system is abysmal dog shit, and while some of them are amazing, some just feel like a complete waste of time. Receive a damage buff for carrying 3 or more great shields? My boss Russian Christ, shields are the rarest armament in the game. I can't even find 1, let alone 3. At low HP, start health regen to you and allies. What it doesn't say is that it's 1 HP a second per stack. So even with 3 of these, it's still garbage. Character skill plus 3? Dude, it doesn't even feel like it's recharging faster, even with 9 stacks of it. I don't know what stacks and what doesn't. I don't know how much 1 vigor is. These stats are just not that helpful, and I need more detailed stats here. Editor's note, 1 vigor is 20 health. So if you get plus 3 vigor, that's 60 HP. And 9 vigor is 180 HP. Yeah. Enjoy 180 HP. While exploring locations, there's these little racks of weapons. There's one for bows and one for magician staffs. You can also find seals in these little boxes for incantations. There's not one for colossal weapons, no straight swords, no halberds, no shields, fucking nothing. I know the loot is random, but if you're gonna add some racks of the utility weapons, can you at least add one for shields? Shields are so impossibly rare to find sometimes. I found less shields than magical benefits on the Guardian, the best shield user in the game. Earth Shatter events are rare events with cool side stuff in them. I have seen the mountain 18 times in a row. I counted. For a 1 in 4 chance of the mountain, it sure as shit don't seem that way. And finally, as the nature of all roguelikes, which isn't innately the fault of Nightreign, it can get repetitive quite fast. I'm not saying I didn't get my money's worth, and I dropped the game immediately. I have over 80 hours in the game, but I saw it coming from the start. Currently, this is all we have, so I'm hoping in the future some more variation will eventually show up. At the start, I dismissed the game's initial presentation because I was probably just craving a new Elden Ring spin-off or DLC. Instead, I got a battle royale mixed with a roguelike, and truth be told, the B team did an excellent job with it, and I can't wait for more.